So to get started, I already have my red contacts popped in. I will be using the NYX Professional Makeup Studio Perfect Photo Loving Primer, and this is going to be my base. I'm focusing most of the product around my pores, really pressing that into my skin, making sure that we have a perfect canvas for today's look. Using the NYX Professional Makeup Total Control Drop Foundation, I'm in the shade Beige. This is going to be our foundation for today. I'm focusing most of the foundation on the top half of my face, just because the bottom half of our face will be covered with white face paint. So it's up to you if you want to cover the bottom half. I decided to just cover a little bit. Quickly just going in with some concealer. I'm just going to use this to conceal my dark circles under my eyes and just really pressing that in with a beauty sponge. And then I'll be using the NYX Professional Makeup HD Studio Finishing Powder, and I'll be using this to set that concealer under our eyes and pretty much all over our face, making sure the foundation doesn't move around. Taking the NYX Professional Makeup Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Espresso, I'm going to start mapping out my brows. So for the glam side, I'm just going to do my usual brow routine. So what I like to do is just draw a line under my brow and also on top of my brow, creating the shape that I want. And then I'll be taking the NYX Professional Makeup Primal Colors eyeshadow. This is in the shade Hot Black. I'm going to use this to fill in the rest of my brow, focusing most of the product towards the tail of my brow, and what is ever left on my brush, bring it in towards the inner part of my brow, making my brow look more of a gradient brow. For eyeshadows, I'll be taking the NYX Professional Makeup Contour Intuitive Eyes and Face Sculpting Palette, taking this shade here. This is going to be our transition shade, and I'm just going to pop this right into my crease using windshield wiping motions. And going back into the black Primal eyeshadow, focusing the product first on the outer corner and then just blend everything towards the inner part of my crease. Black is a very hard color to blend, so make sure you just take your time with it. Use a little on your brush first and then just work your way up. Just build the intensity slowly. Then I'll be taking a liquid concealer and I'm going to start cutting out my crease. I'm just going to be doing a half cut crease, so I'll be placing the concealer in the inner part of my lid space, and I'll be bringing up the concealer all the way up to my crease past my highest fold. That way if I take it up this high, there is going to be no transfer once we place the pigment on. I like to take a thinner brush just to really carve out that crease, making sure everything is nice and sharp. Quickly using the NYX Professional Makeup Pigment Primer, I'm going to place this right on top of that concealer. This pigment primer is going to help the pigment that we're going to place on top just really grab on, and it's also going to help with fallout as well. I'll be using the NYX Professional Makeup Shimmer Down Pigment in the shade Platinum, and I'm just going to stamp this right on top of that pigment primer, and as you can see, there's not too much fallout because of this primer. All the pigment and the glitters just stick right on, and this shade is just so stunning. I get why it's called platinum, because it is like blinding. And I'm just going back in with that black eyeshadow just to mesh the black and the silver together. That way there are no harsh lines. I just like to pat between the two, and this just kind of slowly blends the two together. And because this look is such a dramatic look, we're going full glam here. You want to give yourself a wing liner. I'm going to give myself a very, very dramatic one. More dramatic in my everyday routine, but since we're doing this whole platinum cut crease, you know, you gotta go all out with the wing. And now I'm just going to curl my lashes, prep them for mascara. The mascara that I'll be using is the NYX Professional Makeup Double Stacked Mascara. This is like a 2-part mascara. I'm just using the Step 2 mascara, which is just the top coat, and I think it works perfectly fine. And again, going back into that Primal eyeshadow in the shade Hot Black, I'm just gonna run this black shadow all over my lower lash line, really smoking it out. Again, we want this whole look to look very dramatic and very glamorous. I'm just running that on my lower lash line from outer to inner corner, connecting it with the wing on top. And just taking a black kohl liner, I'll be lining my bottom waterline. And I'm quickly just popping on some dramatic lashes because, like I said, we want to be very glamorous for the top half of our face. And just taking a little bit more of that pigment, I'm going to use that to highlight my inner corners and also my brow bone. Now we're moving on to the skull part of our face, so the dead part of our face. I'm first taking some white face paint and I'm just dabbing this onto my chin. I'm gonna focus most of the paint on the bottom half, like on my chin area first, and what is ever left on my sponge, just slowly blend it up because we kind of want to get that gradient. We don't want a harsh line from our glam side going to our dead side. We want it to slowly fade together. So when I'm reaching the half mark of my face, you can see that the paint is getting less opaque. So it depends on what face paint you are using. Some can be more opaque than others. For me, I had to go on with multiple layers to get it very, very stark white. And once the white face paint has dried, you can start mapping out your skull. You can go freehand if you want, but I think just mapping it out is a little bit more safe. So I'm just creating this kind of shape against my cheekbones, like under my cheekbones. I used a lot of skull photos as reference, and also Crispy Makeup's skull Halloween look that she did a couple years ago as my reference as well. I'll be sure to link that down below. I'm just trying to make both sides even. I mean, if it's not, no biggie, but just try your best to make them as even as possible. Next, we're going to be mapping out our teeth. The shape that I did my teeth is kind of like a teardrop. So it's a bit more round at the body and then it kind of grows thin at the top. I think it's better to see what I'm doing than for me to be explaining. Once the mapping is done, we can go in with our black face paint and start outlining and filling everything in. So I'm just going over the lines that I did previously, and then I'll be filling in that little bubble circle with the black face paint as well. And with the black face paint, I'm just going to line the inner rim of my lips, connecting it to that bubble towards our cheeks. This is just going to separate our bottom teeth from the top teeth. And once we got that all down, it's time to go over our mapping of our teeth with the black face paint. And now it's time to start shading around the teeth. So I'm focusing most of the darkness between the cracks and then slowly start blending out towards my chin. As you can see, it's kind of like a gradient. This is going to create a lot more shadow, and it's also just going to make the teeth look more realistic and like they are kind of like popping out. And to just shade out the cheekbone area, I'm just going right underneath it, leaving a little bit of a gap, and this is going to also make it look like it's popping out a little bit more. And just taking a liquid liner, I'm going to start drawing a little bit of cracks around my chin area. And then I just took some red liquid lipstick and I used this texturized sponge and I started dabbing it over where my actual skin and the white face paint meet, meshing my skin and the white face paint together, kind of making it more of a gradient. So I'm focusing most of the red where it meets and then slowly blending it out towards my eyes. And this is gonna look like our bottom half of our mouth got like teared off. The red is gonna act as blood. And now I'm going to start mapping out the body parts of our look. I'm going to map out the bone structure first, the black eyeshadow that we've been using throughout the whole tutorial. I am just sticking out my collarbones, kind of following the actual structure of my actual chest area. And once we got the mapping down, I started taking my black face paint once again and started going over those lines, making it a little bit more precise. And then once you got those lines down, you can start shading it in. I'm focusing most of the darkness towards the inner part of it and then slowly fading it out. So wherever we put the black face paint, you want to make it most dark around there and then blend it out towards the middle. And once all the shading is done, you can start taking your white face paint and fill in the blanks. I also decided to paint my left hand as well. It's very similar to what we did to our chest. So first I am taking the black face paint and I'm going to be outlining around my fingers, as you guys can see here. And then once I got the outline of all of my knuckles, I will just fill in the negative space with the white face paint, as simple as that. And this, guys, is my completed look for the Drop Dead Gorgeous Top 15 challenge. I hope you guys liked it and enjoyed my concept and how I took on this challenge. When I first heard of this challenge, I automatically thought of something half glam and half dead, and this was my interpretation of it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I had so much fun filming it. Don't forget that next week the voting will go live, and if you guys could help me out and vote for me so we can make it to the top 6, that would be an absolute dream. I appreciate it so much, and I thank you in advance. But if you guys enjoyed this look, be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment down below and let me know what you think. But yeah, that is pretty much all I've got to say for today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!